Hello all, it's Antika here, and today I have a set of cards to create with you all. I am using this stamp by Altenew called Frosted Garden, and I just prepped the cardstock that I already cut down to size. And since I'll be doing heat embossing, I prepped the cardstock using an anti-static pouch, and I just put that big clip on it. I saw that tip over at Jennifer McQuire's blog and I gave it a go, and it is really nice to have. It's quite handy to place the pouch where you need to. Now I'm just arranging the stamps all over the place because I plan on stamping the whole cardstock. So I'm placing the larger stamps first, and then I'll be filling in the blanks with the smaller stamps, just using an acrylic block to get that done. No need to use the MISTI for all that stuff. It actually is quicker to use the block for those smaller stamps. But this kind of gives me, like I said, foundation, I guess. And it is really handy to use the MISTI in this case. It makes it go so much faster. And now I'm just putting VersaMark on those stamps, and I'm being very generous because I want to make sure that I am not forgetting a single piece of every stamp. And double stamping is also a nice way to make sure that you have everything covered. Now the background is ready, and I did the smaller flowers off camera, and now I'm just using the Oxide Glaze in Tattered Rose and covering every single one of these. And I'm using this coffee filter to help me gather all the extras, and it also is a great way for, well, to keep my desk, well, as clean as possible. And also then this helps me to get the extra stuff back into that little jar so I don't lose anything. And now all I have to do is put that stuff back in. And I do that after every time, because if I don't, I might accidentally put powder all over my desk. Yes, it has happened, and I did learn my lesson. Now I'm just taking anything that is extra, making sure that it's not where it's not supposed to be. And when that's all done, all I have to do now is get my heat tool, just make sure that it is really hot and ready, and that makes things go even quicker. And I just love seeing that powder melt. It gets all shiny and pretty. Absolutely love this transformation. It might not show up so clearly on the camera, but believe you me, it does shine, I promise. And now that is the whole background done, and like I mentioned before, I did those smaller ones off camera. Now I used the Oxide Glaze in Tattered Rose, and I'll be using the Oxide ink in that same colour to ink over the whole thing. Now I'm using an ink applicator from scrapbook.com, and I am using the domed foam thingy. I forgot the name of it, but I'll have links down below so you know what I'm talking about. And it gives a really nice smooth finish, and I like the control I have with that. And I'm just covering the whole thing, so this is basically a tone on tone, but it's two different kinds of products really. So Distress Glaze, that is already shiny and pretty, and then I'm adding that color as well. Now you will notice here that the ink is covering all that pretty shine that I have already done, but don't you worry, it will not cover the pretty shiny stuff. All I have to do is to take a dry cloth or piece of paper, I do prefer cloth, and I just rub it gently, and that will give the shine back its prettiness. So basically I've created my own pattern paper, tone on tone. And I was not trying to be too precise with the coverage. It is more in some places and less in others, because I am adding water to the mix. So then, since these are oxide inks, they will activate or reactivate and give me this little nice almost white or clear droplets here and there, and that just adds to the texture of this background. I'm not using too much water, by the way, because this is not watercolor paper, so I'm just making sure that I'm not making the paper too wet. And now I just need to cut these down to size, so I begin by cutting these in half. So these would fit a regular A5 size card, and I want them to be diagonal, so I'm just cutting those from one corner to another, so I get a triangle. So with this one piece I created basically 4 fronts of a card, and I want to add to the shine. So I grabbed some silver shine mirror card and I just cut several strips. I wasn't really measuring how wide they are, I just eyeballed it really. And then I want these to be on the front of the card. I'm just figuring out how I want them to look. And I'm using double-sided tape from scrapbook.com to stick these down, and these will keep these in place. This is a very strong tape, so I know it won't be going anywhere. And you can use any width that you want. I think I'm using the 1/4 inch, I think, here. And then the 1/8 inch is really good as well if you have thinner borders, or if you don't have anything else. That works just perfectly. And of course wider ones as well, basically whatever you prefer. And now all I have to do is take off the backing and let's put this on the front of my card in the direction I want it to be. And I just place it on the card, and if anything is basically going over the edges and stuff like that, I just trim those pieces away. And here I have the 2 versions really of one piece of A5 really pattern paper. And now I'm just using, sorry for my head getting in the way, just using the 1/8 of an inch width tape to put to the backing of my silver piece. And since this one's a bit wider, I can use a wider tape, but of course you can use anything that you have around, just a nice good tape. And now I'm just putting that to the front, and got some kind of a dust or something there, but I'll just snip that away. And then I just add that and really close to the edge of the patterned paper, so it basically looks like it was meant to be that way. And again I just trim the extra with my scissors, and that is the paper part done of the card. I like the way you can use like diagonal cut pieces for whether you want the card to be a landscape or portrait. It just really adds quite a lot to a card really. And can I say really too many times? Yes, I can. And now I need to get a sentiment on the front of my card, and I'm using same sentiments that come with the kit. You have this, well, maybe not large, but a medium-sized hello, and lots of really kind messages in between. So I thought I would combine hello with a sweet friend. I'm just figuring out whether I want to use another sentiment or not, but I kind of like the one that I already have. And I'll be using my Misty for that, and basically to help me get a straight line. It does help. And I'm using one of the rulers from the tool kit I think you can get for the Misty. I really like having those. It helps me figure out whether I'm going mad or not. I was planning on stamping those both at the same time, but I figured it might be a better idea to do them separate. So in case I make a mistake, I won't ruin the whole thing. So why not stay safe, yeah? So I'm just stamping these with scrapbook.com black hybrid ink, and I really like that ink. It's really sharp. Now I'm just putting the hello above and using the same black ink for that as well. And I usually double stamp sentiments just to make sure that they are really black and crisp. And yeah, but just make sure not to be too heavy-handed when you are double stamping, because that can create a bit of a smudge. As I actually noticed here with the Sweet Friend, it wasn't quite as crisp as I wanted, but I can fix that. Now I fix that by stamping that same sentiment to a white sheet, white cardstock, and I'm just trimming it down to be able to create a little banner of sort. So that way I can cover my mistake and in a way make it look like it was planned. And I actually liked the final look, and I was just about to cut it as a banner, then when I figured why not use that piece of silver cardstock as well to make it even more as a part of the design, like it was all planned. Then I'm just adding adhesive to the back and sticking it onto a thin strip of that same silver cardstock. And then when that is done, sorry, I need to get my head above this so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm just cutting like a banner end to it, and then I'll be covering that sentiment. And I decided to use a bit of foam strip. I used these thin ones from scrapbook.com, and they were just the perfect touch. Adds a tiny bit of dimension to a card that is really clean and simple, but you can add something to it with a bit of foam tape, and it adds quite a lot to the whole card image really. And I'm just sticking that to the front and just making sure that this is straight-ish. I'm not too concerned if it's completely straight or not, but as long as it folds the eye, and I'm good. And I'll just snip the rest off. And this card needs just a little bit more, and I decided to use Pretty Jewels to add to the shine, because this is a shiny card, so why not continue with that? So I'm just adding tiny drops of glue, just using your favorite adhesive glue, liquid adhesive, sorry, and I am just placing those jewels here and there, not too many. I don't want to go overboard, but just a touch really. I do like anything that sparkles, so having only several or handful is an accomplishment for me really. And just tiny dots, you don't need a lot to make sure that these don't go anywhere. And it's a really nice thing to use tweezers to keep control over those tiny bits. So those are my 2 cards. And I even made 2 more from the other ones, from the other half of that pattern paper. And here are those cards, and thank you so much for watching. I will have links to everything I use down below, and I'll absolutely love it if you share a card, if you do a card that you will share it with me. I would love to have a look. So until next time, bye!